Honestly, I don't know how I feel about this whole Iceman thing. I mean, the Iceman that I grew up with was blonde, and now he's a brunette. How's that happen? Also, he's gay, which is totally cool. Hi there folks, I'm Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and as you've probably heard because it was all over the news, Iceman, one of the founding members of the X-Men, has come out as gay. Kind of. Okay, it's confusing. Let me explain. A couple years back, Beast went back in time and grabbed the original 5 members of the X-Men and brought them to the present because there was a crisis that only they could fix, and when he tried to send them back, all of time was broken or something, it wasn't really explained, and now they can't go back and they're stuck in the present. So it wasn't the adult Iceman of the present who came out as gay, it was the younger Iceman of the past who did, and you see what happened was that the younger Jean Grey from the past, she can't control her telepathy, so she ended up just hearing his thoughts and... Okay, I'm sorry. Sidebar here for a second. Bendis, stop with this whole Jean Grey can't control her telepathy thing, okay? That was okay back when she first got her telepathic powers and she couldn't quite understand it, and there were stories that you could tell with that. But it's been 40 issues since then. And in that time, you had her go to a Super Saiyan level of new power with her psychic abilities. I don't care what explanation you have. If she still keeps just listening in on people's thoughts, it doesn't feel like someone can't control their powers. It feels like someone is just reading other people's minds, alright? You have to stop this, alright? Okay, sorry, that's been building up for a while. Back to the story. Alright, so the younger Jean Grey, she couldn't help but overhear Iceman's thoughts, so she pulled him aside and said, listen, I know that you're gay, you can tell me, it's alright, you can come out. And they had a nice little talk over the course of a couple pages, and honestly I thought it was a pretty good talk. And listen, I'm a longtime Iceman fan. Alright, he was always one of my favorite members of the X-Men. So when he came out, the first thing that I did is I just had to sit there for a moment and think back on Iceman's history and just think about every single thing, weigh all the sides of this argument, and yeah, I can see it. I totally believe that he was gay. They made it work for me. Now, one of the first things I thought about was that Iceman was known for constantly hitting on women. He was known for being a flirt. And I've already heard numerous people make that argument that, oh, he can't be gay, he constantly hit on women. Well, if you are so far in the closet and so in denial and you just can't even deal with the idea that you might be gay and you just constantly have to deny it to yourself, yeah, constantly hitting on women would be the go-to defense mechanism for it. That actually made a lot of sense. And when you stop and you think about Iceman's relationships and you think about how many of them actually succeeded, that also kind of makes sense. It also would be like, well, how is he hitting on that many women and he's never actually successfully hooked up with any of them? Because he was gay, it turns out. That's actually a pretty good explanation for it. And that's the explanation that they give in this book about why his older self is straight. It's because, yeah, this younger Bobby, it's still in his mind. It's still constantly going through his mind. Older Bobby has had about 15 more years of just cramming that down and just never wanting to think about it and just piling stuff up on top of it. Yeah, it would be harder for him to accept it, but the younger Bobby, this is a really unique way in which time travel can tell a personal story, and I applaud them for doing this. And it's not like this is even the first time that someone's brought up the idea that Iceman might be gay. Back in the 90s, on Scott Lobdell's run on the X-Men, we finally got to meet Iceman's parents, and they were a total metaphor for parents who can't deal with their kid being gay, because his parents didn't like the idea that he was a mutant. They didn't want to accept it. They did not even comprehend the idea that their kid could be a mutant. They blamed him for it. They thought it was his fault. That is, until the day that an angry mob of people who were chasing down Bobby because he was a mutant, his dad finally stepped up and said, don't treat my kid that way. That's my son there. Guys, do I even have to spell it out for you? That's a total metaphor for the relationship that a lot of gay kids out there have with their parents who can't deal with it. Oh, but what's that you say? Oh, you don't want a metaphor, you want some cold, hard facts. Oh, and other psychics have gone into his mind before. Other psychics would have seen this by now. How come no other psychic has ever brought this up before? Objection! Going back to that same run on X-Men, at one point, Emma Frost, the White Queen, went inside of Bobby's mind, and she brought up the image of one of his old girlfriends to torture him, and she had that old girlfriend tell him, I know that you never loved me. You were only using me to stand next to you to make you look good. Now I'm bringing this up for two reasons. One, because it gives me an excuse to play the Phoenix Wright song. God, I love that. But two, she was going into his mind. These were fears that she was bringing out of his mind. You could easily interpret this as Bobby telling himself, I know you're gay and I know that you were just dating these women to make you look straight. It works perfectly. So yeah, honestly, I am perfectly fine with Iceman being gay, but at the same time, I am a cisgender, white, straight man. In other words, I'm the group that's ruining everything for everyone, and as a representative of that group, let me just say, I'm sorry, we didn't know it was going to be that evil. We didn't know it was going to ruin everything. But the point that I'm getting at is that when you're a cisgender, white, straight man, and you're talking about how other groups are represented in media, you don't really get to come in and say, oh, this is doing it exactly right. No, you need to hear from those groups. And for the most part, I've seen very positive reactions from the gay community on Iceman coming out. In fact, I've got multiple gay employees that I work with at my store, and they not only were they fine with it, one of them actually started crying when he read this. And he read it and he said, that's exactly what it's like. That is exactly what it's like when you have to deal with the idea that you might be gay, when you finally come to that realization that you are gay. So if the way that Iceman came out not only made perfect sense to him, an actual gay man, but it was enough to make him tear up, Marvel, you're doing something right, okay? However, I know not everyone's going to be happy, and I know there's going to be a lot of comments down below. Oh, they're just angry. Before you start typing any of those angry comments about this, get out. You're not going to convince me that you're right, that I should not be okay with a gay Iceman. I'm not going to be convinced by any of your angry rantings. Just save your time and get out. Oh, but no, you don't understand. I have many good reasons about why Iceman shouldn't be gay. I'm sure you think you do. Get out. Oh, but no, this is just another pointless retcon. Dude, I'm a Spider-Man fan. I know all about pointless retcons. This is not a pointless retcon. Get out. Oh, but no, Iceman shouldn't be gay because the Bible says it's wrong. Oh, really? What's the Bible say about people with ice freezing powers? Nothing? Get out. I don't want Iceman to be gay because it ruins my childhood. Really? Iceman being gay ruins your childhood? The only way that Iceman being gay ruins your childhood is if your entire childhood was based around the idea of Iceman being straight. Now, maybe you did. I don't know you. Maybe your dad worked at the Iceman is Straight factory, and then on weekends he'd take you and the kids down to Iceman is Straight Park, and you'd all play a relaxing game of Iceman is Straight Ball. I kind of doubt it though, so get out. Alright, so now that I've handled that, I'm sure there will be no negative comments on this video. Oh god. Oh god, there's so many spelling errors. Oh, they're in all caps too. Oh god. Oh god, they're so gross. Oh no, I'm not reading those. Okay, forgetting all that down there. Marvel, congrats, you did a great thing here, but you gotta take the next step now. You have to give Iceman his own series, because you've done some amazing things for representation over the past couple of years. You have progressed the comic book community further in the past few years than I've seen it in a decade. However, the one area where you are still losing, especially to DC, is in the LGBT community, okay? DC had Batwoman have her own series for 40 issues, and yes, it just got canceled, but the moment it got canceled, they gave Midnighter his own series, both of whom are gay characters. You, on the other hand, you had Young Avengers a few years ago, and then you had nothing for a couple of years now. Now, yes, I know that currently you have Angela, who has a partner who is a transgender woman, and it is very, very hinted at that the two of them share a relationship. And the fact that you're hinting at one of your major female characters being gay, that is impressive. Or at least it would have been back in the 90s. It ain't the 90s anymore, and you can't just keep hinting. You gotta come out and say it. Hinting that someone might be gay is like table scraps. It's better than nothing, but you can't survive on it. And the gay community has been forced to survive on just table scraps for far too long. It's time you give them a seat at the table, and giving Iceman his own series would be a great start. And I'm not talking about young Iceman, because who knows what's going to happen with the young kids there. I'm talking about give the adult Iceman his own series, okay? This would be great for a couple of reasons. One, it's adult Iceman, so he's gonna be sticking around for a while. But two, most of the gay characters that we have had in comics have been characters who have always known they're gay. They were always aware of the fact that they were gay, they always accepted it, they were always out, and so that's what their series is. We've never had to see the gay struggle in comics before, especially with superhero books. Imagine giving this 30-year-old Iceman his own series, and in it, the younger Iceman comes and confronts him and says, listen, I've come to the realization that we're gay. It's time that you come to the realization too, that you finally get open about this. Imagine a series that is all about Iceman having to deal with that, about Iceman finally coming out, about him going around telling his parents about this, telling all his friends about this, about him actually going out on his first gay date. Imagine that series. That would be something that we haven't seen in any superhero book before. But the other reason why you have to give Iceman his own series is because, yes, I mentioned that Batwoman had her own series, and I mentioned that Midnighter is getting his own series. But both those characters are really just good at martial arts, and that's their main powers. Yes, I know that Midnighter is so good at martial arts, he can kick a tank shell out of the air. Doesn't matter, they're both still just really good at martial arts. The gay community needs a character who is a god. They need someone who is a top tier Omega level superhero. And Iceman is a guy who's gone toe to toe with Thor, okay? The gay community needs a superhero who could just beat the snot out of Apocalypse. Especially all the gay kids out there who read comics, okay? They need that character who, when they're out on the playground and all the straight kids are going, oh, well, I like Superman because he can lift a whole planet and he's the best and he's the strongest. They need a superhero out there who they can come and go, oh yeah, well, this is the character that I like because he can also do all that awesome stuff that your character can do. So in the end, Iceman coming out as gay, that is a great move. And also, while I'm talking about this was a pretty great week in comics when it comes to the gay community, because not only did Iceman come out as gay, but also Image Comics put out a new series by Chip Zdarsky, who is one of the rising stars in comics, called Kaptara, which also starred a gay character, and it's been a huge hit. And also, over at IDW, in this same week, they put out a new series, Infinity Loop, which also starred a gay character. In fact, that whole series is about how in the future, love has been outlawed, so this woman has grown up going, oh, well, I don't care about love, and I think love is just wrong, and I don't pay attention to it, and now traveling back in time, suddenly she falls in love with another woman. This has been a really good week for comics when it comes to representation. But I'm going to go one step further because this has been a great week even beyond comics. For all of geekery, this has been a great week for progression, and I'll tell you why. In Mortal Kombat X, the new Mortal Kombat game, the last series that I ever thought was going to be progressive in anything, because no offense Mortal Kombat, I love you, but you're kind of the most dude-bro-y fighting game out there. But in Mortal Kombat X, they introduced their first gay character this week. Kung Jin, the cousin to Kung Lao, one of the biggest staples from this franchise, he was introduced as a new character, and they gave us this sequence in his story mode.
There lies ahead a brighter path, one that will truly honor your ancestors, one that is worthy of you. Go to the Wuxi Academy, join the Shaolin, like Kung Lao before you.
I can't. They won't accept.
They care only about what is in your heart, not whom your heart desires.
Now, sure, they didn't come flat out and say it, but that was heavily hinting at, and on Twitter, a few of the creators did come out and go, I'm glad you guys noticed that. Yeah, it is. And I know I just got done saying that you need to go further than just hinting that a character is gay, but this is Mortal Kombat. It's one of the most dude-bro-y games out there. This couldn't be any more of a frat boy game than if you forced unnecessary co-op into it. So for them to go that far and just have a gay character in there that they heavily hint at, guys, I'm gonna tip my hat to you on this one. Way to go. Also, I'm gonna tip my hat to you that you made him a total badass. I mean, just look at this. If you're over 17, because it's kind of gross.
Finish him! Kung Jin wins. Fatality.
But okay, that's my episode today. I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you thought about this issue if you happened to read it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you think they handled it well? Do you think they didn't handle it well? I want to hear from everybody out there, unless you're one of those jerks that I talked about earlier in the episode, okay? But let me know your thoughts below, and if you like this episode, if you like this episode, I'm tired. If you like this episode, then please hit that subscribe button. Please follow me on Twitter and Tumblr, and I just started 2 brand new channels, okay? So if you've been following this one and you've enjoyed it, then check them out. I've got videos playing right here from both of them. If you want to see me fail and do miserably at video games, then follow my Let's Play channel, Gamers In, which is right up there. And if you want an introduction to anything from the world of geekery, whether it be video games, comic books, anything like that, just simple educational videos with a little bit of humor thrown in there, then check out my other channel, Geekery 101. We just put up a new video that's all about Miss Marvel. So check those out. I hope you guys enjoy them. Thanks, everybody.